What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Goes checking in with Mario Bautista, who's coming off a big win at UFC 307 versus Jose Aldo. Mario is not at a drive-thru right now, but Mario, I'm curious, how much weight have you regained since weighing in at 135 or 136 the other day?
I don't know. I haven't stepped on the scale, but I'm assuming I'm like 160 something. So I don't know. I'm scared to step on the scale.
Well, enjoy it. You got your hand raised. You beat a legend along the way, and we interviewed you weeks before the fight, and we had shared with you how we talked to Jonathan Martinez. He said he got caught up a little bit in the moment in Brazil against the legend Jose Aldo. You said that wasn't going to happen to me, but in a way, did it or did it not? Like, how were you able to just look across, whether it was the press conference, the weigh-ins, anything, and just say he's just another man?
That's just been like my whole mentality, like leading up into the fight. There was moments like, obviously the crowd loves him and everything. So like when he was walking out, everyone was cheering for him. And when I walked out, I got booed. But even then, I still didn't even feel it, And getting into that first round, I just kind of got started right away. Just, I didn't wait, to throw any punches or anything like that. And I guess the only time I would say is just like, because I got cut in the second round and that blood started dripping in my eye, I was wiping it away.
Mm-hmm. And
then with one eye, I could see that he could see that. And man, he was just kind of coming after me to kind of finish me off. So to kind of get that Aldo, that he's coming after you to finish you, it got pretty intense right there. So, man, I just had to kind of stay calm and kind of figure things out in the middle of that fight.
Yeah, no matter what, it probably was pretty cool, right, to face off against someone that's accomplished so much in the sport, someone who's beloved so much that you got booed, even though they don't even know you, but yeah, you were just on the receiving end of his fame and popularity.
Yeah, no, it was definitely crazy. And like I said, like where it kind of really got crazy is when he started to walk out and, all these fighters and not all the fighters, the whole crowd just kind of started going crazy. That's where it got pretty intense. And I just knew, I was like, okay, like this is pretty big, especially for like the fans and everything. So I try not to let it get to me.
Let's talk about the fight. You won via split decision. Were you expecting that when after they had wiped you down and you were coming to the center of the octagon? What was your feeling? Had you done enough or not?
No, I knew it was close, and I thought I did enough. I was just kind of mainly worried about like the crowd kind of swaying the judges because, anything he did, whether he landed or missed, the crowd was going crazy. And then anything I did, they're booing. So, yeah, that was just my only concern.
That night, I scored it for you. When I rewatched it today, I didn't necessarily give it to Aldo, but I understood why it could be given to Aldo.
Mm-hmm.
And then the judges are placed in different parts of the octagon, and who knows if they catch a shot that lands or maybe grazes or whatever. Have you rewatched the fight, and what are your thoughts on it? It appears that it all came down to round 3, obviously.
Yeah, no, I haven't rewatched the fight yet. I gotta buy the pay-per-view and watch it, but yeah, no, I still need to take a look at it.
Okay. Well, in round 1, they all gave it to you, and in round 2, they all gave it to him. In round 3, 2 judges gave it to you, and 1 gave it to him. You were adamant about wanting to, get the fight to the ground. It didn't appear that you wanted to put him against the fence, and a lot of people refer to it as wall install or whatever. It looked like you wanted to get him to the ground, but I guess the question is, you weren't able to, so why did you keep going to it, I guess?
No, I just wanted him to keep on working, I just wanted him to break out of the clinch, use that energy to get out, and then just kind of stay stuck to him, just keep him working. I just didn't really think he was gonna, I don't know, I guess just stay on the wall, I guess I should say. I thought he was gonna get out, and I just, like I said, because that takes up some energy. And there's points like I felt like, yeah, he was defending the takedown, and maybe he could have like circled off, but he just kind of chose to stay there. and kind of wait a little bit. It wasn't necessarily like, yeah, I was holding him against the cage, but at the same time, I think he did have opportunities to circle off. It's just he chose not to.
So I've actually watched round three times now, and my mind was blown by some of the things Jose Aldo did. My mind is blown by some of the reaction of the fans. This is something that I've kind of said for a very long time. There are certain aspects of our sport that uh, maybe fans just don't like. Everybody wants you guys to go out there and throw hands, but that's not our sport. That's not what it's about. And if you have a problem with certain things that happen in fights, your problem's not with the fighter, your problem's with the sport. That's just how it is, and that's why we have 12, 13 fights to make up for it if that wasn't your bag of tea. But here's what I want to address, and it's what George had said, the wall and stall. There are times where every time I felt that if I were the referee and it might be time to maybe step in or say something, you actually got him down to one knee or, got him down for a second and then he popped up. And when that happens, that all restarts again. Mm-hmm. And there were situations where I kind of agree with you. And I can't believe that you were able to even capture this during this fight because there was so much going on. But there were times where it felt like there was enough space for him to get out and separate or maybe throw punches to get out of it. But he just kind of chose not to. And that's something we were talking about on our watch along was we felt like he could have done more to get out of that situation. Why do you think that happened? Because this is a guy who's got a rich history in our sport. He knows a lot. And he's kind of been in situations before where media, fans, the UFC has said maybe he could have done a little bit more to win decisions. Why do you think all that played out that way, Mario?
I'm not too sure. Like that's something that I don't know if it's a strategy on his part. Maybe he okay, that's his resting area, where he feels like, okay, I'm gonna rest up. Maybe the ref will separate us and then I'll be able to get my strikes off and this and that. But then looking at it from a fan's perspective, if I'm watching this fight and I'm not yelling at me, I'm yelling, Aldo, circle off the cage. What are you doing? Circle, get off the cage. That's what I tell my fighters, whoever I'm coaching, if they're stuck on the cage, hey, you need to circle off the cage. You need to get your underhooks, circle off and take the center of the cage. And that's just me, and that's something I've learned before the UFC. If I ever got stuck on the cage in sparring or anything, it's not oh man, whoever is holding you against the cage. No, I need to handle that situation, circle off and get to where I want to be. So where I can, start winning the fight or start doing what I want to do. It's just not, it's weird. I don't know if that's something his coaches don't tell him or it's a strategy of his or what he thinks. I honestly couldn't tell you.
When you guys were separated and you exchanged, was there anything that he did that caught you by surprise, or was it pretty textbook Jose Aldo things that you were expecting to come from him?
No, it was pretty much what I expected, but what I really felt like he is just really strong in there, very, very tight, very technical. Yeah, it just kind of pretty much everything that I expected. He threw some knees. I thought we were gonna take a little bit more leg kicks. Honestly, I thought I was gonna do a few 360s from those kicks, but no, he just didn't really throw too much. Just stuck with boxing. Threw some good knees. I knew he was trying to time me on some shots, but I just kept on feinting. And but yeah, everything else was pretty much what I thought.
Did you get a chance to talk to him after the fight, or even the matchmakers, Dana White or anybody? Can you maybe share thoughts after the fight?
No, I didn't talk to Aldo. Just in the cage, he just said, good job and this and that. There's a little bit of language barrier there, so it's one of those, you just kind of say things to them and they just kind of shake their head. Yes, yeah. So I don't know if he understood anything, but no, I didn't talk to any of the matchmakers. I know Dana's upset. And I know what kind of fights he likes and everything too. So like I said, it's just all experience. Take what I can from this fight and then go into the next one, understanding what everyone's thinking and whatnot and try to fix some things.
Are you pleased with the fight?
Yeah, no, to be in there with Jose Aldo and the way things that were happening in that fight, with the cut, I ate a pretty good knee. Like, I just remember exchanging one time, and then I was in on a single. Like, I don't even know how I got there. I knew I was on the single, and just try to hold on to it till I got my wits about me. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. If I can go back, like I said, now I know like where he takes his rest and what he likes to do. And I think I would make some adjustments if, I don't think that fight ever is going to happen again, but I would make my adjustments. But like I said, now I know for my next fight.
The commentators stated that your pressure, they actually complimented you and said that you have great cardio. And that's a good thing, because to get to Merab Dvalishvili, you're going to have to fight some killers, maybe even take a 5-round fight night or something like that. And then Dvalishvili obviously has great cardio, but they actually thought that your cardio was the reason Aldo couldn't get off some more of those leg kicks, because you were just always crowding in that space. Was that a strategy on your side?
Yeah. That was like, we were either going to be all the way in or all the way out, not be in those range for, honestly, the kicks and kind of like those long range, kind of like strikes and whatnot, and always feinting and moving and this and that. And like I said, either all the way out or all the way in. So, yeah, I definitely had to have some good cardio to kind of maintain that.
You speak Spanish?
Poquito, but I understand it a lot more than I could speak it.
All right, there's a good chance you might say, "Ya déjenme en paz, pinche cabrones," with this next question I'm going to ask you. But I feel like it's really important. And I think you've been on our show long enough to know we're not just a couple of trolls. We're fans. We want to figure things out. So sometimes we push the topic. So I got to push you on this. So the strategy, right, of going in for the takedowns, the commentators noted you just weren't getting to them. You'd get him down, he'd pop back up. And remember, the new rules state that if you don't do anything with the takedown, it's almost like nothing's happening, at least according to these mythical judges' scorecards, whether they're just putting dashes or carrying a pendulum of who's winning or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I guess the question to me would be, would you do that going forward? Because if he's not breaking off, kind of what you expected was for him to break off and use the energy. I mean, this could have cost you an L too, the strategy. So would you rethink that a little bit or tweak it?
Yeah, definitely going into the fight. Like I said, if I were to fight Aldo again, I would definitely tweak it up a little bit, kind of break away a little bit myself, and then, kind of get him back into that spot if I had to, probably a little bit more clinch work, this and that. Like I said, I just didn't really expect him to stay on the cage. I don't know. I just didn't expect myself to hold him there. But once I got there, it just, you kind of realize, like, damn, like, not that it was easy, but like, it's just that he stays there, I guess. But I would definitely switch things up for sure.
Goes?
Oh, I will say this about that position up against the cage. A lot of people, if you've never been in there, that is actually one of the most tiring situations. Like, your energy, your body, every muscle in your body is being used at that point. And it is very, very tiring to be in there. But I wanted to ask you a little bit more of, so yeah, the fans weren't really with you for this fight, and it's kind of expected. Jose Aldo is just so beloved, right? But then as the fight played out, it wasn't just your fight. It was a lot of fights where they were a little bit more vocal than maybe some other crowds. Do you feel like that's something that everybody just kind of goes, all right, it was this fight, but moving forward, you can move on and kind of be the guy that you were going before that fight? We were all excited to see you on a card and see you fight. Is there any ill will towards the fans, or do you kind of just keep that separate?
No, I keep that separate. Like I said, all his fans and everything, and all the people that lost all that money, I think that's a lot of it, because I think I was a favorite coming into this fight. And obviously, a lot of people are going to bet on Aldo, so they lost some money. No, I just try to separate it. I've had my own people, congratulate me and everything. And I keep it separate, and it's just all about the style of fights, that happen. This just wasn't it just wasn't. It didn't showcase quite a bit like of what I could do, you know. But I do think some fights moving forward, you know, I don't think some people are going to let me hold them on the cage. Like Marab is not going to let me hold them on the cage. So, you know, that could lead into some other things too. So I don't know. I just got to take what I can from this fight, learn, and then just move forward.
That's what I was going to ask you next. So obviously we're talking about this because it just happened this weekend, but in your mind and, you know, after the performance and all that, this is just kind of part of your job doing interviews, but have you already turned the page past Jose Aldo, everything that happened, and now looking forward to the future? And if so, what would you ask for? Like, what do you think should be next for you?
Yeah, no, definitely moving forward. You know, it's, you know, everyone's still kind of chirping everything out there. But yeah, I just want to get started on a fight right away, or into a camp, or into some talks, you know, because I just don't want to have as long of a layoff as I did this past one, where I fought in January and then I fought in October. I just want to kind of get the ball rolling on some things. I don't want to have a long layoff. So just whoever's ahead of me, you know, whoever wants to fight, and whatever opportunity they're going to give me, and I'll take anyone.
Well, you got your hand raised, and that's the important thing. You know, if you look at someone's record, it's similar to like a college football season or whatever. I mean, once you get to 20 fights, maybe that doesn't apply. Maybe it's college basketball or whatever. But you're gonna take some L's, except for Habib, or maybe some other guy or gal that hasn't gotten there yet. But not all of them are going to be exciting. Even the great Anderson Silva had some boring fights that Dana White was pissed at. So hopefully you can just brush that off. You got your hand raised, and, you know, you just keep climbing, you know.
And that's the thing too. You know, Marab did the same thing. He probably held him against the cage longer than I did, you know. And now look at him. He's the champ. And then if we're actually talking about Aldo, he almost did a similar thing against Cheeto. He started losing that first round, and then he takes Cheeto down and stays on his back for the whole second round and the whole third round. And no one gave crap to Aldo about it, you know? And even me, I'm not going to give crap to Aldo. It's more of Cheeto. Oh, Cheeto can't get this guy off his back, you know? And so that's the thing. It's just like a little double standard for some of these, you know, Hall of Famers and people, fan favorites and this and that. So let's not forget about that.
Yeah, that's true. But I think you can win the fans over again. I really liked your last win, for example. I thought you would beat Aldo and actually finish him. You still beat him, you know. But Aldo's no joke, you know. Even the Aldo that's now 37 or whatever he is, he's still pretty tough. All right, Mario, we'll let you chill. Enjoy the family, enjoy the food, enjoy the win. I just want to tell you two quick things. Our staff, 3 of our writers, do a piece called Judges Gonna Judge. Let me see if I got that right. Yeah, that's what it's called. And so they took a really hard look at this fight. And just like the judges scored it, round 1 to Bautista, round 2 to Aldo, and then when all 3 examined, round 3 again, Matt Wells, Bautista, Mike Bond, Aldo, Danny Segura, Bautista. So even they were split. And that's with no crowd, probably no announcers, just examining it. But they, you know, they saw it differently, and all of them are talented writers. So it was razor thin, man, but I still enjoyed it. So congrats on that fight. Congrats on that win, I should say.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Hey, and lastly, what's that town you're from in Nevada? Winnemucca?
It's called Winnemucca, Nevada. Yeah, it's a
Remember we talked about the Johnny Cash song?
Oh, yeah.
He does mention it at the very beginning. He's hitchhiking, and he's in Winnemucca, and then he goes off on all these cities that he's visited or whatever. And, man, the fact that you're from there, check it out. Just check it out. I think you'd like it because I think it's a song that everyone could get into during your walkout.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I loved your guys' request. I think, was it All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix? Is that what it was?
That's the one I sent you. Yeah, I think that one kind of gets the crowd pumped up.
No, that one was sick. That's right up my alley. So, but I got, you know, they asked me, what song do you want? Because I waited until the last minute, so I just picked one out real quick. But yeah, no, I appreciate that, guys.
All right, bud.
Take care, man. We'll talk to you
Take
soon.
it easy.